Hi, I welcome you all to this session on HR analytics. In this session, we are going to discuss some of the basics of HR analytics. HR analytics, it is also referred to as people analytics, workforce analytics, or talent analytics. It involves gathering data together, analyzing, and reporting HR data. It enables the organization to measure the impact of a range of HR matrices on overall business performance and make decisions based on data. In other words, HR analytics is a data driven approach towards human resource management. So, in the past, human resource management has changed dramatically. It has shifted from an operational discipline towards a more strategic one. HR as a support department was engaged in a series of functional activities such as administrations, compliance, recruitment, employee relations, etc. It was not playing a strategic role in the olden days. Its function was not strategically aligned. In 2000s, owing to implementation of LPG policy and advancement in computer technology, etc., results in market competitions. HR was taken on board for major business decisions. All its functions were gradually strategically aligned. The popularity of term SHRM or Strategic Human Resource Management exemplifies this. Strategic Human Resource Management involves a future-oriented approach, or it is a in future-oriented process for developing and implementing HR programs that address and solve business problems and directly contribute to major long-term business objectives. HR management was once largely an administrative function focused on day-to-day responsibilities such as employee recruiting, selecting or selections, and employee benefits, managing employee benefits. Changing labor market conditions and new business thinking call for HR business strategies that includes recruiting and retaining the right people as well as providing ethical and cultural leadership. Strategic planning presents great challenges and opportunities for HR professionals. Nearly all HR leaders in the largest global companies are involved in strategic decision making and participate in the organization's strategy team. And a majority of HR professionals report that strategic planning is part of their functions. In contrast, HR professionals in many medium and small organizations are not often involved in organizational or functional strategic planning. Consequently, to achieve long-term strategic HR objectives and to be a key player in the organization's strategic planning process, some HR departments may need to convince senior management of the value and the contributions HR can provide. Human resources is witnessing a major transformations with skills and data technology at the core. This is a study conducted by IBM Institute for Business Value. According to the study, accelerating the journey to HR 3.0, 7 out of 10 human resources executives report the global HR function is ripe for disruptions. Chief Human Resource Officers (CHROs) are in agreement that HR functions must be redefined. Guiding principles of personalization, skills at the core, data-driven decision making, transparency, and agility are all central to the journey to HR 3.0. As per the report, while 41% of companies in India make skill growth a key driver of their performance management approach, nearly 30% of the organizations have skills and capabilities in AI or artificial intelligence within the HR functions. According to IBM, 25% of Indian organizations are leveraging artificial intelligence and analytics to make better decisions about the talent, such as skilling program and compensation decisions. As for the source of data, 60% of HR executives are using data from news sources like financial data and social media data to assist in making better decisions about talent. So we can see that HR analytics is just a continuum. Okay. So we can see this. Okay. how HR analytics over the period of time has continued to add business value to the business. Okay, this is a past orientations. This is a past orientations. This is the past orientation. It's low. So this is future orientations. This has to be high. Okay, high. Complexities involved in the process is high here. Okay. So here, in the futures, if you see the complexity is high. So in the past, if you see, there was a reporting. There was a reporting role. HR was just reporting what happened, just reporting what happened. That means it has a past implications. Okay. So business value was very less here. Okay. But gradually, its responsibility increased. Then it questioned that it went for analysis. Why did it happen? It questions. Why did it happen? Certain kind of analysis came to the domain of HR. Then what is happening now at the present? If you see, this is monitoring. HR has a monitoring role, okay, but for the futures now, the HR has a bigger responsibility. It has to protect, it has to predict what will happen in futures. That means, take for example, who are the people who are at the high flight risk? They are going to leave the company. This is just an example. Okay, so they are good performer, and good performers are the high performers are important for all the companies. The companies do not want to lose those high performers. Therefore, they want to predict that the companies want to predict who are at high flight risk. Okay, so far the organizations can design certain kind of strategy to retain those people, maybe through internal replacement or can be through promotions. So over the period of time, if you see the futures, if you see the uh, this, okay, futures HR is, if the HR is able to predict what is going to happen in its domain as far as HR is concerned, so it is definitely going to add more business value. So HR analytics is the systematic identification and quantification of the people drivers of business outcomes. HR analytics is a systematic, it is very much systematic. It is identification and quantification. See, there are so many aspects in HR that are qualitative in nature. Take, for example, it is job satisfaction or employee satisfaction. It can be OCB, organizational citizenship behavior. It can be that uh, employee engagement. Okay, so these are all qualitative aspects, but unless these are quantified, you cannot make a study. So HR analytics, by use of statistics, it can quantify these people drivers. Okay, people drivers, it is the quantification of people drivers, that what are the people drivers. So for performance, for high performance performing organizations, who are the people are the drivers? What are the aspects of people? They should have a high level of engagement, they should have less attritions, okay, they should be performer. Okay, so these are the people drivers. Performance management, okay, talent acquisition, talent management, performance management, payroll management, these are the people drivers. So if these are managed properly, so business outcome will be also good. Okay. So HR analytics, basically what we can say, it uses the knowledge from statistics. Okay. And this knowledge is used to quantify people drivers for business outcomes. So we will discuss a case how in the past, how people have made wrong choices. Okay, so BBC Radio 5 Live was making a survey, okay, to find out what makes a candidate invite to a job interview. What it did, it collected some of the so many CVs, a lots of CVs, and sent them to different recruiters. Okay, and one commonality that it has found in the CV, that all the CVs were identical except one change, that change in names. Okay, only except one change, most of the CVs are having that are identical in nature. What is that difference? The difference that it has found, the difference of name. Okay, names are different. So in the CB, it has been found there are some uh, white sounding names, there are some black sounding names, there are some Muslim sounding names. Okay. So uh, after that that receiving response from the companies, it has found that 21% of white sounding names have been invited to the job for the job interview, and 14% from black African sounding names, and 8% from Muslim sounding names. Okay. So that means if the CB is having, so CB is having a white sounding name, it has roughly chances of 3 times more of getting uh, invited for a job interview in comparison to the Muslim sounding names. Okay. Do you think, so this is a certain kind of that statistics that we are deriving. Do you think recruiters are looking at the names while recruiting? I don't think so. Okay. In reality, recruiters were scanning the CV for 5 to 10 seconds. And subconsciously, the recruiter sees a name and determine if this person belongs to his group or different group. So it may be coincidence. It was the subconscious realizations that someone belonging to the recruiter group increases his chances of getting being selected or invited for an interview. I don't think this is ill will, but this is another example of how people make bad decisions or choices. Okay. So recent research revealed that minorities often they are fascinated at this, and they often engage in CV whitening, which is the process of creating a CV that is more similar to a norm, the Western the white norms. The funny thing that lots of companies have started realizing that they are making wrong choices. This needs corrections. To rectify this, what they did, they started creating created diverse policies. Okay, communicating that you are a diverse employer is significant. This example says how we as human makes bad decisions. It is not the names that attract a CV for an interview. Okay, but we that minority, what they did, they started whitening their names. Okay, so this example says how we as human beings makes bad decisions, and the only way to discover this is by using data. By looking at past data, we can realize how we made bad choices decision in the past, and how we can rectify this in order to make better choices in the future. This is essentially what HR analytics is all about. Okay, so this HR analytics is data driven in decision making in HR. Okay, HR analytics is the systematic identifications of people driver of business outcomes. So it is a systematic identification, as we have discussed, that it is the systematic identification and quantifications of people drivers. So we are using what we are using? We are using some of the statistics, our statistical knowledge. Maybe suppose we want to see the relations the relation between employee engagement and performance. So we can do is correlations or impact. If you are doing certain kind of impact, okay, assessment, we can go for a regression model for predicting. Okay, that for predictions. Okay, so so analyzing drivers of that business outcome is significant. So we must analyze what our people doing, how engaged they are they absent, how competent are they, how does that influence our business outcomes. If you want to quantify what people are doing, how that impacts how they are performing, then we are doing certain kind of analytics. Now companies who have applied as HR analytics, and they have made better choices. Okay. HR analytics starts with a business problem. Okay, business problem. And it tries to solve a business problem by identifying and quantifying the people drivers of business outcomes. Okay, this is the case that we are going to discuss. Discuss. Um, this case starts with a business problem. The problem is that we are discussing about an institution, one organization of like Dutch police. Dutch police, we are talking of Dutch police. Okay, Dutch police had a lot of helicopters. To fly these helicopters, what it was doing, it requires certain kind some um, pilots. Okay, but the problem among the pilots that it had found that uh, there are so many pilots who were not staying with Dutch police for a longer period of time. Okay. So what it did certain kind of analysis. It did certain kind of analysis, certain kind of comparisons. Who are the pilots who stayed over a long period of time, say for example 8 years, 10 years, 15 years? Okay, and the pilots who do not stay for long, like 2 years, 1 year, or 1.5 years, they did a comparisons. By comparing between these two groups, one commonality that was found in the end. Okay, this is so this recruitment of Dutch police pilots, it was doing from two sources. This is the source one, and this is the source two. Okay, so first, so what was happening? Directly, Dutch police was contacting aviation schools, and what aviation schools was having trained pilot. It was sending to the Dutch police, and these people were working under Dutch police, and they were flying the uh, that helicopters of the Dutch police. Another way it was doing, it was giving certain kind of open advertisements for the cops, okay, for the police force, and the Dutch police was recruiting police force, and they were sending for training to, okay, training purpose for the to the Dutch police, okay. They were going to Dutch, that they were going to aviation schools. They are completing the training program, and they are coming back to that the Dutch police organizations, and they were flying the helicopters. This was the difference. That means these people, aviation school people, if you see, they were already trained. Okay, they are the pilots. They are trained as the pilots. Whereas these people were taken as police cops, and they have been given training program in the aviation school. And once again they have been brought back to the Dutch police, and they become the pilots. So it has been found from that comparison. It was found attrition rate was high attritions here. There was high attritions here. Okay, the people who were from the aviation schools, the attritions, their turnover was more. People from civil aviation went to the police because it was fun to fly police helicopters. So they joined the police, Dutch police, because they found it was fun. Okay, for fun purpose they came. Okay, they didn't came for uh, uh, as a career. Okay, so after a few years they went back to civil aviations because civil aviations companies really liked the police helicopter pilot because they had a lot of very relevant experience, and they were usually very good pilots. Okay, they joined uh, uh, they joined for fun. Okay, they joined for cool experience. Once they gain experience, they switch to other companies for big money. But whereas suppose take for example, uh, these people these people joined for a career. Okay, they joined for a career. They joined for a career. These people joined for a career. Okay, so they joined as a cop. They joined for career. So they joined for a career. So once a cop, already a cop, or always a cop. The agent who joined in the force, the police agent, they saw the job a calling. They are more attracted at the job as a career. Okay, they joined for a career, therefore they didn't leave. So this was the analysis. This is the insights actually through by comparisons they did. Okay, what did the police learn here? They learned if they selected the people who were already on the street and gave them the expensive aviation training and sent them to the that aviation schools for training, those people in the end had a better ROI, return on investment, than getting the cheaper candidates that already did aviation schools and training them to fly on the police helicopter. So it has been found that because of the more ROI was more in case of the in the second case. Okay, so these insights impacted how they selected people, and it impacted how they used and invested their learning and development budgets. This is a very good example of how you can apply HR analytics to solve a concrete business problem, to make better choice, to make better decision, to ensure certain success, and to save money on your recruitment program. Okay. So then, so this is actually case that is published in Wall Street journals. Okay. So there is an issue with the bank, Credit Suisse bank, that the retention issues of the young professionals. Okay. So it has been found that turnover rate of that young professional has been found. It has been found from 20 to 20%, 25% in 1 year. Okay. So it was costing the bank a lot of money. What should the bank do? It did once again the same comparisons. Okay. So who are the people who are staying long and who are the people who are staying for a certain periods? Okay. So what it did, uh, it made a comparison. So number of common characteristics that predicted turnover intention is flight risk, as they call it. Okay, what is the flight risk of the people? So traveler sense was one of the major factors that influenced whether someone is likely to stay or not. Okay, but also certain profile that you could make. So what it did certain kind of profile analysis. Take for example the recruiting on unmarried girls. Okay, there is possibility that if after the girl getting married, that she is likely to change jobs or she becomes a dropout. Okay, but this doesn't happen in case of male candidates. Okay, so this kind of analysis, that profile analysis that it did, the people who are staying for long and those people who are not staying for long. Okay, it created such kind of profile, that analysis of profile helped them to create insights into who was more likely to leave and for what reasons. Credit Suisse gave manager a dashboard with the reasons why people in their team might be at a high flight risk. Managers were incentivized to retain their people to the max. Managers were rewarded for retaining employees in their department. In addition, Credit Suisse was able to calculate a flight risk for individual employees, who is having what percent of chance of leaving, it could calculate. Okay. Credit Suisse trained managers to have a conversation with these employees. Okay. These employees having high flight risk. They created a program in which the employees who are a really performer, okay, and they are likely to leave, their flight risk is high, so they started doing certain kind of replacement, the internal replacement analysis, um, and they try to promote these people, that horizontally or vertically, by looking into the that opportunities. Combining it with high flight risk score, Credit Suisse finally was able to solve save 70 million United States dollar per annum. Okay, so by doing this kind of analysis, so minimize the it could minimize the that attrition rate. Okay. So this is another case, Best Buy. This is another case. This is published in SBR 2000. 2010, Harvard Business Review 2010. So Best Buy is a big electronic chain in United States. Okay, so it has a practice of measuring employee engagement every single year. So engagement is important because it, as we know that there is a survey. You can look at the survey that in 2012 there was a survey by Gallup Research Organizations. Okay, so employee, if the people are highly engaged, it will minimize the absence rate, turnover, incidents, defects, and it will also increase productivity and profit. Okay. So Best Buy wanted to know how does engagement impact performance. What did Best Buy did? What- So it compared engagement and changes in engagement per score with profits per score. Findings revealed engagement changed from year 0 to year 1 by 1%. It went from 70 to 70%. Okay, so the profit in the score would increase by $1 lakh. So when the engagement went from 70 to 71%, profit could increase by a million United States dollar. Okay. By so when it is indeed significant findings when the findings reveal that engagement changed from year 0 to year 1 by 0.1%. So it went from 70 to 70.1%. The profit in the store, same store, would increase by $1 lakh. So when the engagement went from 70 to 71%, profit would increase by a million United States dollar. Now this is a very strong business case. It helped them to incentivize managers to start increasing engagement because in the end the engagement was now coupled to the bonus of the managers. How well the store was doing was influenced by how engaged their workforce was, and Best Buy started doing a lot of engagement surveys every year because these surveys helped them to identify the different levers that they could turn in order to make better decisions. These are a few examples of HR analytics to predict in real organizations. Creating business value by applying HR people analytics, HR or people analytics, it is you can call it. Okay. So there is one research. It has been found that is nucleus research in 2014. It has found that every €1 spent on analytics delivers 13.01 euros in returns. That means every 1 unit spent on analytics can give back a return of 13 more units. Okay, so 1 rupee spent on analytics gives back in return 13 rupees. Okay, so that's the insight that we have got, that nucleus research has found 1 unit. Okay, the problem for most of the organization, they could not access data in the past in the single system, but they could not combine. They could access. So the problem in the past, that these data were available in the past actually. Maybe in the human resource information system, these data were available. Okay, maybe that this is demographics data, people's demographics data. It may be gender, it may be uh, religions. Okay, these are the demographic data. Okay, maybe age. Okay, so pay, the different pay scales or total gross pay, their level of engagements, their performance data, their attrition. So these data were available in but the problem is that they were not able to combine them. They were not able to get the combined effect of all these things. So they were that engagement and impact of engagement on certain things. So in the combined way, these data were not being used. Okay, so this HR analytics helps to combine and clean the data. To combine and clean the data. So then after that, what it makes? It can analyze. It can analyze. Okay. So it can analyze the performance data, what people are doing, whether they are up to the expectations, up to the standard or not, how engaged people are, okay, whether they are engaged to the high level or low level, okay, are people absent, the impact of absenteeism, how competent are the people, how does that how does that influence our business outcome, okay. So these are the analysis they could make and try to find a solutions here. If you want to quantify what people are doing, how that impact, how they are performing, then we are using this data HR analytics, okay. So this is analyzing and data mining, which is used to analyze data. By analyzing patterns and causal relations, one can build predictive model. So what is the impact of these, okay, aspects, okay, on the employees performance or the organization performance? So this can be, there can be predictive model can be built on using regressions, okay, and that will help the HR or the company to predict the future performance of the company. So this is where actually HR is going to play a crucial role for the future. So prediction for the futures, okay. So we have just touched upon the basics. We have just today we have touched upon the basics of HR analytics, okay. So hopefully that the session has been very much meaningful. Thank you very much.